I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, November the 2nd, brought to you in part by Beaver County Stockyards. My friend Jeff Slatton there runs that outfit there, and his wife Jerry, and they're having a big customer appreciation day here on Tuesday, here today, November the 2nd. They've got a big run, over 4,000 head, going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. Got a really nice run, going to have 12 loads of yearlings. And I talked to Jeff, he said most of them be good enough to go anywhere. But really nice yearlings, off grass, nice condition on them. Again, going to have about 3,000 head of fancy calves there on offer. You can watch that sale, view and bid at dvauction.com. If you want to get approved, call into the office there at Beaver before the sale or before you get on and tell them you'd like to be approved, and they'll get some information from you, and then you can bid right there, because that is a spot that's kind of hard to get to. Not a whole lot going on there at Beaver, Oklahoma, but right there in no man's land. They've got some really nice cattle there. Tell you what, that facility is like brand new. Every pen out there is new. They all got water in them. They fixed the sale barn up real nice in the last several years, and it's really a nice place to go to, nice place to do business. They don't allow any trader cattle or anything like that. But check out Beaver County Stockyards live on dvauction.com here today. And if you can get over there and make it, go over to the Customer Appreciation Day sale and get your free meal. The pesky futures, and I tell you what, we get so frustrated with the futures whenever they try to dictate what a cash product is worth, and in most cases it's cattle. But they started out the session here to open the week kind of picking along there, kind of okay, and then all of a sudden just tanked. And I think a lot of it had to do with their grains that were up big. And you know, we can't help that, but grains are up really big, and it was just right in the face of so many bullish and positive fundamentals. You know, last week we had such a nice movement of negotiated trade there. We wish we could have something like that every week, robust in all of your major trade areas. That would be something that would promote a better market and more price discovery there. If we could have something similar to that every week, if we could pass one of these minimum negotiated cash bills, it would mandate that we have something like last week every week. But we had the second highest negotiated volume that we've had so far this year. We had the highest weighted average price on live steers that we've had all year. And that just goes to show that trade and activity just breeds about more. And we had a real healthy slaughter or harvest volume there, and that was all positive. Yet our board won't come up, and nobody could really put a pinpoint on it. You know, the grains were higher, yes, but not enough to justify the downs that we had on feeder cattle. And to fall this far below what our index levels are, right as we're having so much volume trade in our feeder cattle auctions making up that index, that's what they're worth, guys. And we're in November, and we're on the spot November feeder cattle contract, and it's plunging under that. You know, that just doesn't make sense. Your futures are supposed to dictate what those are worth down the road in the future. Well, you know, especially that November, we're here and it's tanking well below that. Of course, we're not at the end of the contract month yet, but you know, your November feeder cattle contract closed $1 lower than your real-time index. Your real-time index is over $1 under what your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was, because it's always up to date and current. The next time it comes out, it's going to be a ton lower too, guys. But still, we've lost our premium as we go out into January, and that's now not on ball and calves. It's on feeder cattle weighing 800 pounds. You know, it's down, took a big hit. and it's down just under 153. So, you know, it's kind of tough whenever our futures won't kind of justify their position. But I was talking to one of my good friends there, Dustin Smith, that lives up in northeastern Oklahoma, and he sent me a message and said, hey, are you wondering how come the board was down so much? And I said, yeah, give me a little insight on it. And he said, well, I went long this morning, so that's what those guys in Chicago got it out for me. So he said that was the reasoning. So I think that's probably as good a reason as any. Is my good friend Dustin Smith that buys cattle and backgrounds cattle and hell of an auctioneer up there. He went long the contract, and we can blame it on him. Let's look at your board for Monday to open the week. December live cattle futures down 42 cents at 128.85. February down 32 at 133.90. Go on your back months of your live cattle, they were down 2 cents to down 85. And that's one reason that makes me think it is the grains, because your live cattle contracts weren't down too much, and we've still got December, which is a spot now, but we're in a bastard month right now because we don't have a contract for November on live cattle. But 128.85, that's still a premium to $2.50 to what our weighted average was here, so it gives us continued reason that we can go forward, and then it gets higher, of course, as we get towards spring. But November feeder cattle down 217, ouch, 154.40. Your November contract has lost over $4 in the last week, and that's while our cash prices on feeder cattle have been going higher. So it doesn't make any sense. But it's such a shallow pool there, your feeder cattle contracts. It doesn't take much to make it sway one way or the other, and we just don't have anybody to bet on the higher side. January feeder cattle down $3.40 on Monday to end the day at 152.72. Your back months of feeder cattle down 110 to as much as 317. Now that 317 was on your next closest out. Your 110, and it was all kind of like that, was on the farthest out traded months that we have. I talked about our grains being higher. Corn closed $10 or 10 and 3/4 cent higher, excuse me, at 5.79. Now remember, we talked here for the last several months that it was jostling between 5 and 5.5, and we just assumed it would stay there. Well, now we're nearing the end of our harvest, and it's jumped up here, getting close to $6. That's kind of scary. Kansas City wheat up over 20 cents, and now your nearby months of Kansas City hard red winter wheat are well over $8 a bushel. My goodness. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region was impressive, 87,200 head. I hate to say that's impressive, but in these days and times it's big. Compare that 87,200 to the previous week when it was 62,000. Same week a year ago, 46,200 head. Your live sales of steers and heifers range from 124 to 128. That was $1 to $3 higher. And you think, well, I didn't hear a lot of 128. There was about 2,000 head at 128. So, I mean, there was some that were up there that much higher. And you guys need to continue to price those cattle there and higher, even though the board's down a little bit, guys. You guys are dictating the market. Don't let it dictate to you. But your highest weighted average on live steers that we've seen so far this year, 126.29. That was up $1.90 from your weighted average previous week. Your dress sales, steers and heifers, 196 to 201. That was $3 to $5 higher. And you think, gosh, I thought $2 dress was the top. We had around 700 head trade at 201. So that was, it was more than just a few. Weighted average on dress steers at 199.89. That was up $4.06 compared to your weighted average on dress steers the previous week. Nationwide, 103,900 head. Like I said, that's your second highest that we've seen so far this year. Compare that 103,900 moved nationwide to the previous week of 78,700. Same week a year ago, 58,000. So yeah, it was pretty big. Of that 103,900, only about 10.5% of them were sold for the 15 to 30 day delivery. They need those cattle right now. They're close to the knife. They're calling on cattle that they have 2 weeks to pick up. They're calling on them the next day or the day after that. That means that we need to continue to ask for more money for these cattle because they're short bought, guys. That's the way that works. Don't worry about them. It's like buying a new pickup and laying awake at night thinking you got too good a deal on it. They'll take care of themselves. You do all you can do to take care of yourself. Negotiated grid, of course, your packers are turning in a lot of that for fear that they're going to get a negotiated mandate and they want to use negotiated grid. Turned in 53,200 head compared to the same week a year ago of only 16,000. Formula sales still dominate everything, and that's what's wrong with this industry. Almost 261,000 head last week, formula basis. Box beef cutout values were higher to start the week. Choice cuts $287.58, that was up $1.86. Selects $264.39, up $1.02. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services, they're one of the professionals that I've talked to you guys several times about that can go in there and help you get one of those livestock risk protection policies. And you need to do that. And I'll tell you what, we've had an opportunity here to make some money now that the board's going down, especially on our back months. It's not going to be quite as good, but it's still going to be a good deal to keep you in business. But you can get one of those policies to insure you against the market going down significantly. If you're background in light cattle, middleweight cattle going right into the feedlot when you get done with them, or finished fat cattle. But how about trying to buy some cattle that might fit one of those LRP schedules there? We haven't checked in with Ellis & Carter for quite a while. Ellis & Carter cattle at Santo, Texas, just west of Weatherford. He's an order buyer out of those Central Texas barns there. He can put you some cattle together. These would be delivered prices up there in the wheat country. How about some steers? He had a load last week. These are cattle that shipped last week, at the end of last week. 330-pound steers delivered for $174, be all blacks and Charolais. 385-pound load at $166. 400-pound load of steers there at $162. These will all be good enough. A set of plainer 535-pound steers, a load of those at $119.25. That sounds pretty cheap, but they'd be a plainer kind of cattle there. But back on your good enough cattle there, load weighed 620 at $137, and then a load of all black yearlings, and he said you'd be the kind you'd like, weighing 740, cost $142, delivered to the Panhandle or Western Oklahoma. How about heifers? Load of them weighing 360 at $142, sure good enough. A load weighing 4 1/4 at $140.5. Load of black baldies weighing 500 pounds smooth at $131.75. Load weighing 5 1/2 at $130. Load of heifers weighing 635 at $125.75. And a load of big feeding heifers weighing 750 at $115.5. You're interested in something like that, get a hold of them. Look up EllisonCarterCattle.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. That's for sales that happened on Monday here, just yesterday. And there was the 7th day of the 7-day moving average. It's just like your CME cash feeder cattle index, just in more sales and then some different ones. But how about 155.40 based on an 800-pound steer? It was off just a little bit because the board was so down, and some of your later sales they backed off a little bit, but it was down 44 cents. But your last CME cash feeder cattle index was up over 156.50. It's going to be coming down off of that big time, guys, next time or two it comes out. How about your big sales, high volume sales on Monday? Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City had around 8,000 head there. Feeder steers and heifers were unevenly steady, they called them. Steer calves $2 to $4 lower, heifer calves $3 to $5 higher, telling me there's still good demand for lighter weight calves. They're just getting more price conscious on them, and so that's whenever they usually turn to the heifer calves. but some other places there. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 6,600 head, and I told you they had good run of yearlings there in Joplin on Monday, a bigger run than they've been having, and those yearlings sold really well. Your feeder cattle in Joplin were steady to $3 higher. Look at this stick out deal on one of those yearling consignments. 152 head, 913 pound yearling feeder steers in Joplin, Missouri, 156.50. Wow. How about the biggest sale that I saw that they had anywhere on Monday was in Faith, South Dakota. Faith Livestock, they're still selling those lightweight calves in big droves, 8,600 head of them. And if you look at this automated market report from DV Auction with Cattle Market Central there, you see they were all the lightweight calves. That's all they had. That's what's moving right now. But look at your best tested weights. 1,683 head of your 4-weight steers average 459 at 189.29. That was about $8 lower, guys. They're getting chock full of them, and we've run out of trucks. 2,132 head of your 5-weight steer calves average 175.34. That was about $4 lower than your weighted average. Both best really good tests there, so that's what they were. Look at some of your heifers. 1,701 head of your 4-weight heifer calves in Faith, South Dakota, average 451, just under 165. That was about $7 lower than last week. They just can't find enough trucks to haul them off or places to send them. They've been running so many of them here the last several weeks. 1,718 head of your 5-weight heifer calves average 544 at 154.39, and that was about $10 lower than last week when it was a little bit more active. But some of those sales out there in the northern plains are wanting you to get your consignments in early so they can kind of gauge how many trucks they're going to need, and they're trying to get them rationed in there to help the buyers out to get those cattle moving on down the line. Look at some other impressive quotes from around the circuit. How about West Point, Nebraska, the shaving sale out there? Don't talk about them very often, but man, they sell them high. How about some heifers, yearling feeder heifers, backgrounded, 120 head of black heifers, weigh 875 and 160 on heifers, guys. They had a good sale at Winter Livestock at John Campbell's sale out there in Lahana, Colorado. 4,800 head there. All the calves sold mostly higher. They haven't been moving as many of those down in the southern plains and just off of the Rockies there, and they've got some wheat coming up in that area. Calves are selling good. Calves were all mostly higher there, and as much as $8 higher on those lighter weight steer calves in Lahana, Colorado. How about Russell Livestock Market in Russell, Iowa? They sold 90 head, 628 pound steer calves at $173. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday on some big, heavy, warmed up steers was out of Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. 231 head of steers weighed 989 at $153.50. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.